Alright, so today I want to talk about why she doesn't want to use protection. Okay, anytime unaenda mechi and you see a lady amekata kutumia CD, what could be the reason? So today I want to talk about different reasons zenye zinaweza kuwa zenye zina cause probably who dem aseme I don't want you to use protection, and it's always you the guy that has to carry the risk. Okay, so number one, you have to always assume that maybe you dem akona kaugonjwa anataka kukuinfect. Okay, that is always going to be a reality. Kwa nini? Because mbona ana insist usitumie. Okay, we've heard of ladies wenye wamecome out wanasema ati alienda campus fulani akona a whole list of men wenye ali insist that they may not use protection and they didn't use protection and she ended up infecting them. Sijui kama mmesikia story kama hizo. So number one, you really have to assume dem akisema hataki CD, it means that probably akona ugonjwa and she wants to put it on you. The reason why I think like that ni juu sometimes you feel like some of these people wenye wame get infected, kuna wenye wanabebanga frustrations, kuna wenye wako positive wanasema okay nitakunywa dawa I won't die nini, but kuna wenye wanakonga wamebeba hiyo frustration because maybe they blame it on that person for not also using protection. So you see when him say ni kama wamebeba grudge. So huyo ni dem most likely anaweza taka kuinfect another guy with the same disease that she has. So remember, it can be HIV, it can be STI, so you really have to be careful. The second reason I think ni juu dem anaweza taka kukuekelea ball. So maybe she knows already ako pregnant, but anajua ule chali mwenye ako pregnant na yeye is not responsible, ama maybe probably kuna venye haezi taka huo chali kwa maisha yake. Okay, so anaanza kutafuta, anaanza kusikana, naona ni nani nitekelea hii ball, anakupata wewe, and then she convinces you as the guy that niaje, by the way, she don't use protection nini, and you end up following her, and what will happen is that you'll find yourself unaekewa mimba enye si yako, unaekelewa ball enye si yako, and she knows exactly what she's doing. So later on, kumbuka, before the baby is born, the 9 months before mtoi azaliwe, you can't get the DNA of the kid. Hauwezi get, okay, mi sijui, but sidhani unaweza pata DNA ya mtoi, so you won't be able to prove mtoi ni wako for the next 9 months. Na hata kufanya hiyo DNA test it's a bit costly. So unaweza kuwa hapo uko mtaani umedecide sawa I won't use protection, but you see akikuekelea ball utawezaje kutest, na maybe you have to raise, sijui kama last time niliachekiwa 15,000, you have to raise 15,000 to do a DNA test. So how will you raise that money? And maybe hiyo si priority yako, so you end up raising a child that is not yours because uliekelewa mimba yenye si yako just because a lady told you to not use protection. That's number 2. The other thing also you need to consider is that probably this lady wants to get pregnant. Something I learned kitambo kabisa ni ati some ladies have complications when it comes to hiyo place. Okay, so they go to the doctor, anaambiwa wewe, so probably unidem ameenda kwa hospitali akiwa 17 18, and she's told asipopata mtoi by the age 22 23, and I've heard some ladies talk about it, anaambiwa tu na doki live, usipopata mtoi before the age of 22 and 23, chances zako za kupata mtoi zinakuwa diminished. Okay, zinakuwa low. That's why you find a lady is 19 years old na anapata mtoi na amekimbia kupata mtoi, and sometimes you think ati ni juu akona baby fever na nini. It's because somebody put it in her mind that anaweza kosa kupata mtoi past a certain age. So now huyu dem akona haraka ya kupata mtoi. Okay, and because hiyo ni mpango yako we haujui, and it's not a discussion you guys will have, she will come convince you not to use protection because at the end of the day anajua end goal yake ni gani, ni kupata mtoi. Okay, and that's how you end up getting a girl pregnant just because she knew what she was doing, but wewe haukunajua intention yake ilikuwa gani. Okay, and it could be even in a certain it could go to the extent enye chali, yes, umekosa kutumia protection, and then you are like wacha nimbuy a morning pill, you buy her the morning pill na anakataa kumeza. Okay, and that's why it's important also, even as a guy, ukiona umemess, you really need kuona umze amemeza hiki kitu ama hajameza. Angalia vizuri uone kama amemeza hiyo pill, you know, go to the extent of confirming kama amemeza hiyo pill, wacha ameze mkiwa na yeye hapo. Okay, so it's very important for you to consider that thing. Usichukulie kama ni joke, you will get a girl pregnant before you are ready to raise a child. So that's why I'm telling you this. Okay, reason nyingine ni ati kuna mademo wenye wanakuanga allergic to latex. Okay, so kuna wenye watakwambia which could be genuine, na kuna wenye watakwambia which is not genuine. So kuna wenye udanganya anakwambia oh I'm allergic na maybe hako allergic, but mimi personally I've experienced mtu mwenye ako allergic. So what really happens ukitumia latex na mtu kama huyo, they swell up pale chini, ata swell, okay, atafura, okay. So it's important for you to understand that kuna watu wako allergic to latex, and unaweza pata by the way some of them probably it makes them itch. So unaona, yes anataka mechi na nini, lakini because of that after experience unaona like hata anaweza avoid, au ni wale mademo nyewe hata anaweza fika point and decide she will never have this thing again unless she's married. Why? Because it's too much of work for her, because after that and I have to deal na itchiness and I have to deal na swelling and I have to deal na hizo vitu zote. So it's important for you to understand that enyewe kuna mademo wanakonga genuine, they are allergic to latex, but wengi ni wenye, okay, I would say 50% of them, sema ni half. Kuna wenye wako very genuine, but kuna wenye they're just using it as a lie just to convince you and you usitumie hiyo kitu, okay? And I'll tell you why they are doing it. So for me, if you ask me the reason why a lady would go to an extent of actually lying to you, akwambia oh I'm allergic to latex na labda hako allergic, is because number one, she wants to get pregnant. So tulikuwa tumesema hiyo, but now she wants to get pregnant, but yeye hataki kubeba the blame ama hataki kubeba the responsibility of why she got pregnant, okay? So that's why anakuweka kwa mix, so that every time she can look at you and say wewe si ndio wewe si ndio haukutumia, wewe si ndio nini, you get. And usiwahi kuwa convinced. As a guy, you really have to know yourself. Kama haujaivisha pull out game, you really don't need to be convinced by a lady ati siuta we kama unajua hauna hiyo strength, wachana nayo. Kama unajua hauna hiyo experience na hauwezi, na unajua hauwezi, me personally I usually say I can't, mi siwezi kupromise ati nitaweza. Kama unajua you are like me and you can't, imagine usikue convinced ati usitumie protection. Always use protection, all right? And now here is the trick for men. Unafaa kujua there are CDs, kuna CD unaweza tumia enye iko more likely ama iko na high chances ya kuraruka. So you need to know. Sasa hii ni by experience. Use different products and know ni gani inakuanga rahisi, ama just ask your friends, okay? I wouldn't want to say the brands here. Wewe ulizia tu mabeshto wako, waulize ni gani yenye ume experience inaweza tia, kuna zenye tia, okay? Especially hizi zenye unasikianga sijui slim, light, and I know most men want to go for those because unadhani probably hiyo ndio itakupe a better experience. You need to know hiyo pia iko na chances ya kuraruka haraka. So you need to be very very careful as a guy, because at the end of the day you don't want a mess, okay? Reason nyingine also dem anaweza kuambia usitumie protection is the fact that she wants to enjoy it genuinely. Huyu sasa hata kujibamba na hataki utumie, okay? But sasa for somebody like that, you always have to consider mambo ya ugonjwa, and you always have to consider, so what are you gonna do, so what's going to be the birth control method? Because kumbuka, using protection is birth control method ama ni family planning method. So you need to know, sawa, sitatumia hii, nitatumia nini, okay? Don't be, usiache vitu, don't leave things to chances ati kwende venye kutaenda na atapata ball. So you need to be very careful, because you might end up being a dad as a guy. I'm looking out for you men. You might end up being a dad and you're not ready for it. Sasa utaanza kupewa pressure, nataka nini for 9 months, kwanza upewe pressure hiyo, and then after mtu huyo amezaliwa sasa ni pressure for the rest of your life, and you are not ready, okay? Just because you didn't use what? Protection. So I'm here to say just use protection. And the other reason nikimalizia why a lady atakupusha atakwambia don't use protection is because she's just crazy and wild. Yani ule mse don't care. There are ladies who are don't cares. Hajali, okay? Ni wale wa kwenda venye kutaenda. There are men like that and there are ladies like that. Shida inakuanga hawa watu wawili wakipatana. Because sasa hapa hakuna mwenye anapea mwingine logic. Hapa hakuna mwenye anafikiria. Hapa hakuna mwenye akona senses. So you find two people who don't care, who don't think about hawafikiri the next 5 months, hawafikiri the next 1 year, hawafikiri the next 5 years. And they come together, and guess what? They get a baby together. So you have two toxic people wenye hawafikiri logically, and then wamepata watoi pamoja. So what am I saying in all of this? Use protection. Wewe kama mwanaume, it is your responsibility. And even you as a lady, if you see a guy is trying to risk telling you tusitumie, always ask yourself kwa nini, what's the reason why he doesn't want to use. Always ask yourself that reason, and once you are convinced that you know the reason, ama kuna venye una feel instinct yako inakwambia, you know there's somebody mwenye anaweza kuambia tusitumie, and you are convinced umse probably anasema hivyo juu anataka kujibamba. Also wale wase tuseme ule dem mwenye hana experience sana anaweza kupush sana usitumie, because maybe she wants that experience, it's her first time, hizi ndio first days yake, yeye hajazoea, so she wants that first experience of don't use protection. Okay, but now you need to know either way, whether ni kujibamba, whether this person is crazy, whether akona the best reason in this world, matokeo ni ile, especially if you're not careful. So as a guy, because wewe ndio unapushiwa to make that decision, you always have to know if that decision will affect you either negatively or positively. Okay, so you need to be very careful and always take charge, take responsibility as a guy. But also nikimalizia for ladies, I want to tell you that even you have a right to tell the guy or to insist to the guy, me by this sikupei kama hautumii protection. So it's very important that you two both play a role in actually saying what is right, because what is right is using protection.
Gachin Lion.